Wednesday. It is. Let's move forward with hot news. Existential question of the day. The Area 51 raid that happened back in September, you remember it? Feels like years ago, but no, like 6 months ago. Anyways, a lot of people regard it as a colossal failure. There was just like a few Naruto people who showed up. That was it. People got interviewed. It was kind of a flop. Or was it that it was successful and Area 51 was successful in covering up what a success the Area 51 raid was? Aliens fix it? Is that what happened? Need to know. Down below. Answer in the comments. Go. And to stop being so awkward, let's transition into the tech news. Okay, we gotta just talk about the thing that happened right after we filmed Hot News yesterday. AMD officially announced the Ryzen 3 3100 and 3300X for $99 and $120 respectively. B550 also announced release date June 16th. The Ryzen 3 chips are gonna be released in May sometime. So that means that we're getting Zen 2 at $100. Phenomenal. Whether or not that's a better value than the Ryzen 5 1600 AF for $85 remains to be seen. That'll be a nice budget shootout that we can do when those finally come. That's the thing that we need to address because that happened in between, and then like our rumor that we talked about with the pricing is like, oh yeah, well we already know the pricing. Thank you. Good to go there. But let's talk about more AMD stuff, which is everything going into the Xbox Series S. Series S, not the X. And forgive me as I talk about this because I'm probably going to missay Xbox Series. I'm gonna say Xbox One just because I conflate the two because Microsoft is bad at naming things. They're just awful. So let's talk about the Xbox Series S. It's supposed to be announced sometime in May, and this is also known as Project Lockhart, which has been in development for quite some time. Project Anaconda, which we talked about in a Hot News like 2 years ago, was officially unveiled as the Xbox Series X. Lockhart was supposed to be the lower end version of that, but was rumored to have been canceled, but then brought back online. We're not quite sure why, but now it appears that there's rumors happening that Lockhart is indeed happening, and Microsoft employees are taking the console home to play around with it, to test it, to make sure everything's going fine. Take home testing apparently is usually one of the very last stages before the hardware is revealed to the public. So this means we're getting good to go. We might finally see it. Maybe Austin Evans already has one, but he doesn't have that MKBHD vibe of like, I've been playing with it for 2 weeks now, so here are my impressions. Anyways, early May is when we're supposed to be getting Lockhart. You can also look at this fan render of what people are anticipating it might look like. Kind of has the same Series X vibes, just smaller. I don't know if I like it. I think I would prefer the more rectangular, but just shorter instead of a cube like the Series X. We'll have to see if the Series S actually does look like this. We'll have to see if the Series S is finally going to be announced, but it's good news. My speculation, so I'm just going to go into something that's not based on these articles at all. I would expect that it probably is more on par with the PlayStation 5. 36 compute units, probably not at 2.2 gigahertz, so the PlayStation 5 will be slightly faster than the Series S. It'll probably be, the Series S will be at like 1.8, 1.9 gigahertz on the GPU, so that means we'll see like a 9 to 9.5 teraflop console coming in at the $400 price point. The Series X will be the $600 to $750 console. The Series S will be the mainstay that most people are supposed to be able to afford, and would be just slightly worse than the PlayStation 5, but hopefully cheaper, at least hopefully for Microsoft, that would be the case. So Series S, you excited for it? What are your anticipations of the Series S? What specs do you expect it to have? Let me know down in the comments. Some people are saying that it's gonna be a 4 teraflop version, which is not good at all because that'd be less than the One X. Like then you would keep the One X as a mid-tier between the Series S and the Series X. I'm not sure how that would work, but we'll figure that out when it happens. But what did happen is Microsoft has trademarked the Xbox Series X logo as well as the Xbox Velocity architecture logo. They're just like X's and V's with lines in them, but they're a Microsoft trademark now, so don't violate it. Iconic. You know what else is iconic? New motherboards from Intel every 2 years, because that's just how they roll and that's what we're getting. However, there's no indication from Gigabyte that Z490 is going to support PCI Express 4.0, but in a limited manner. This is apparently coming out from Video Card saying in official marketing materials, they're confirming that their motherboards are compatible with PCI Express 4.0 devices. However, the functionality is limited. What that functionality is limited to, not quite so sure. Maybe it's going over the PCH and not necessarily direct CPU lanes, so it's kind of faster, but not really. You can work with PCI Express 4.0 devices such as Navi cards, and that's what it is, and not actually get NVMe 4.0 speeds, so you're not gonna get the 5 gigabytes per second on a drive. You'll still only get like 3, but it'll have 4.0 support so that it supports the latest graphics cards. That might be something, I don't know. we'll have to wait and see. But Gigabyte confirming Z490 will get PCI Express 4.0, and Noctua confirming that the next socket for Intel, the LGA 1200, which is going to replace everything that we have so far, is the exact same cooler mounting scenario. So you don't have to go out and buy cooler brackets or anything like that. You're going to be totally okay with your LGA 1151 or whatever cooler bracket you have. Noctua doesn't need to ship you a new one, but I mean, go ahead and pay them anyways. Speaking of paying people, you don't have to pay Nvidia for this feature, which is the RTX voice, which has been phenomenal. Barnacules Nerdgasm did a Twitch live stream yesterday where he tested it out, and he did several things, such as pointing a leaf blower at his microphone or pointing a fan and hammering on the table, and it's honestly phenomenal. RTX voice is like the greatest thing since sliced bread when it comes to actually voice chatting with people. It cuts out all of the background noise. I'm only hearing such amazing things about it. However, it appears that maybe some of this RTX voice stuff is just marketing malarkey from Nvidia, because if you remove a couple lines of code in the file, it'll work on non-RTX cards. Nvidia is marketing this as only working on Tensor cores, but if it can work on non-RTX cards, people are quoting that this is working on all the way down to a GTX 580. It works on Nvidia cards no matter what, if you're willing to edit the file, which maybe Nvidia will lock down at some point, but it does seem like we're getting a little bit of bamboozle from Nvidia on this when it comes to this being an RTX feature. However, it could be like ray tracing, where yes, technically it does work on non-RTX cards, but it does so at the cost of more overhead on the actual CUDA cores of the device. You can do ray tracing on Turing cards, the GTX 1660, it's just not going to be as good as the 2060 because it's not running on the Tensor or RT cores. Maybe RTX voice mod is a little higher in bandwidth on the CUDA cores. However, I have heard that people are only seeing like a 2% increase in CUDA core usage when it comes to using the RTX voice, so I don't know if that theory is correct, but RTX voice mod working on non-RTX GPUs. Go ahead, check it out. If you do voice chat, use this. This would be great for Zoom calls or like Skype calls or anything you're doing for remote working. Just enable RTX voice and then nobody has to hear the crap going on in the background. Nvidia, you done did good. And they also done did good when it comes to GeForce Now, because they announced that people who ordered the Founders Edition, that $5 a month membership that came with a free trial, well, that free trial is going to be extended until June. You don't have to pay until June if you signed up at the very beginning, making sure that people aren't going to be paying in the pandemic right now. They're trying to make sure that everybody's staying safe, has their money in their bank account. I mean, even $5 a month as an introductory rate is very, very cheap for what they're providing for RTX gameplay. So that's just me. But what's not me is a Razer Blade Stealth, because that's a computer and I'm a person. At least I think I am. Anyways, the Razer Blade Stealth has been updated to get a faster display, 120 Hertz, and is also going to be featuring a GTX 1650 Ti instead of a 1650. It's going to have a 120 Hertz 1080p model with 100% sRGB color space, as well as an option for 4K touch display in case that's the thing that you want. It's going to start at $1,800, which hurts my wallet, except for it doesn't really, because I'm not going to buy it. So, I mean, my wallet stays the same. But what's not staying the same is gaming on Linux, because Valve has introduced Proton a while ago. We talked about this. Valve is at the forefront of making sure games work on Linux, and Proton DB just came out saying that over 6,500 games are now supported on Linux through Project Proton, which is a good number. It's a number. It's a big number. But what's a bigger number is the release date of Death Stranding on PC. It's getting delayed from its original release date sometime in June, and now it will only be coming out on July 14th. So in case you wanted to play Norman Reedus, the baby fetus walking simulator on PC, you're gonna have to wait a little while, or you're gonna have to hook up your PlayStation 4 to remote play and do it that way. But then you just don't have the graphics, and it's a little weird. But what else is a little weird is Opera's new marketing campaign for their browser, because they're now touting a feature that has quick access to Instagram. That's their sales pitch. They released an entire YouTube marketing video on this that you can click on a button and you have Instagram access, which is no different than the normal desktop access. You don't have any special features. It's not like a mobile integration into the browser. It's just the same. Why, Opera? Why?
Who put the interns in charge?
Who put the interns in charge? But I also have to ask why for this next VR invention, which I ask why in like a philosophical manner, because practically speaking, I understand it. It makes a ton of sense. But this VR haptic shoulder system, it ties little strings to your fingers and then gives you resistive feedback when you're trying to touch stuff in real life. So like if you're trying to grab a stick, it'll stop your fingers where you would normally touch the stick, so that it actually feels like your hand is grabbing around that, and it mounts on your shoulder. It's weird, but cool, but also weird. Who's gonna wear this? I don't know. I guess weebs? I don't want
to elaborate more.
I don't want to discuss the implications of that. But you know who's not a weeb? People who play Fortnite. Can we all agree on that?
Sure?
No, I can't. So I'm just going to segue into this next article, which is Fortnite is now available on the Google Play Store, which it wasn't previously because Epic Games didn't want to give Google a cut of the portion. They were just doing it through their own APK downloader or going through Samsung, but now they've caved and Google Play Store Fortnite is available for you. And what's also available for people who use WhatsApp, which Catelyn let out like a primal growl of excitement when we told her about this. And that's video calls on WhatsApp can now support up to 8 people, which is good for her keeping in contact with people back in South Africa during the lockdown. It's good for actual end-to-end encryption because WhatsApp's actually not terrible when it comes to that kind of stuff. Maybe consider using WhatsApp over Zoom. I don't know, that's just me. What also isn't me though is a cyber researcher who they just came out with a new report talking about how they can get data about your computer through fan vibrations by hacking your phone. Apparently, according to this research paper, the accelerometers in phones that are on tables are sensitive enough that they can detect the vibrations of the fans in a computer to a very specific degree. And one of the big things is that phones don't consider the accelerometer data to be anything too sensitive, so they don't need permissions to actually access it, so they can somehow detect your fan vibrations. How that converts into hacking you, I'm not quite sure, but they're saying that you can exfiltrate data from air-gapped computers via covert surfaces vibrations. What data they're gonna get, besides the fact that you should be using Noctuas instead of whatever crappy fins you have in your PC, I'm not quite sure. But if you have an implication for what this means, let me know down below in the comments. Keen to hear what you have to say down there. But there's some big implications when it comes to the small business administration loans that have been going out recently. This is an emergency funding thing done by the US government to make sure that small businesses don't go under. These are the loans that are coming through the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. However, it turns out that there might be some vulnerabilities in that where people's information can get hacked. So according to the US government, they said the officials said that in order to access other business owners' information, small business applicants must have been in the loan application portal. If the user attempted to hit the page back button, he or she may have seen information that belonged to another business owner, not their own. That's some big security issues. Holy crap, that's a big problem. They have said that this isn't anything nefarious that has happened so far. So I guess that's good, but other businesses might have your business's information in case you applied to be part of the EIDL program, which is separate from the Paycheck Protection Program. They're saying that the PPP applicants were not affected by this because that, I think, went through banks, whereas EIDL went through SBA's website. I might be mistaken on that point, but the EIDLs were the vulnerability, not the PPP. But small PP energy is what I have to say about this, which is the writers of Venom are apparently in works for a One Punch Man movie for Sony. The writers of Venom are making a One Punch Man movie, to which I have to say, please don't. Please freaking don't. Okay, One Punch Man, the first season worked so well because of anime and its art style. Like, it made sense. I don't see how you're gonna make a good One Punch Man movie.
Are they doing live action?
I'm pretty sure this will be live action, my friend. There's not a ton of details right now, but considering it's Sony, it's either going to be CGI like the Emoji Movie, or it's gonna be live action like Venom, which Venom, like, some people like it, some people didn't like it, not a ton of critical acclaim. I don't know if I can trust this. One Punch Man doesn't need to be adapted, so please don't do this. Please freaking don't do this. But apparently also Venom got the second one got its name, something about Carnage, so that's kind of cool. Well. So that's the end of this episode of Hot News. Don't forget to answer the existential question of the day. Area 51 raid, massive failure or hidden success? Aliens. Answer down below in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this episode of Hot News. Don't forget to come and check us out over on Twitch, twitch.tv/UFDisciple. We stream every day, Hot News Live, weekdays, every weekday. We do Hot News Live over there. Come join the fun. It's great to have you there. Everybody who does join us, we really appreciate you. You're better than everybody who watches it on the YouTube video. And for everybody who's watching the YouTube video up until this point, you're better than everybody else who've already clicked off. So I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. can't believe they've done this.